The left is getting more and more unhinged. And as an example of this, we actually have House Democrats holding a shadow hearing while the government is shut down. And by the way, there are no Republicans in attendance. This is purely Democrats, purely Democrat witnesses, so they can come out and actually say what's really on their minds. In this case, Jasmine Crockett talking about ICE. But before we begin, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
Just blatant racism. Like, I'm gonna just call a thing a thing. Like, this administration is racist. That he has always been a racist, and that is what we are enduring in this country. Let me give you some facts behind this racism, and they get mad when I say the things that I say, but I will not stop speaking the truth. Number one, I said that what we were experiencing in this country felt like what I would imagine slave patrols to look like. And frankly, anybody that knows anything about slave patrols, this is exactly what it was like. We're talking about lawless people that are going around with no warrants or anything, and it's all about rounding people up and disappearing them. That is what's currently taking place. And interestingly enough, even though modern day policing was born out of slave patrols, when I was speaking with one of my friends who is a federal law enforcement officer, he told me that one of the things that he has observed is that the culture is created at the top. And when I think about it, it absolutely makes sense. If you have somebody at the top that will not tolerate the types of things that we're seeing, then maybe those under you won't do it. But we know that we have a racist at the top. He has called himself the head law enforcement agent in this country, and therefore everybody has decided that it is okay to take off their hoods and mask up as ICE agents. Now, we've talked about how they have hidden themselves, but again, it reminds me of the Klan. That is why I proposed the Clear ID Act, to make them identify themselves, because it is dangerous for law enforcement as well as individuals, because you don't know, especially with ICE going around and doing the things that thugs do. They're busting out windows, they're breaking into homes, they're breaking people's arms. This doesn't sound like law enforcement. It sounds like thuggery to me. But just like you can have somebody at the top that sets the tone for ugliness going down, you guys are blessed, because in the city of Chicago, you have a mayor. You have a mayor that has decided that he will not back down. He will not bend to this administration, and instead he will stand up for the people. You have a man of valor that is going up against a villain, and I think that we have to make sure, especially while we're in his city, that we recognize his leadership, because it is invaluable. Now, some people think that this is all about Chicago. But I want people to understand that this cancer is infecting us everywhere. And if you don't think that it can come to your city, well, I've got news for you. You see, we've been talking about the cruel and unusual punishment that is in violation of the 8th Amendment that is being handed out. And honestly, it's a spit in the face of every American that we have an actual convicted felon that feels aggrieved to the extent that he feels like he's owed hundreds of millions of dollars when people are literally dying under our watch. Recently, I just sent a letter, it looks like on October 22nd, to Kristi Noem. And one of the things that I laid out is that we have seen the most detainee deaths in ICE custody in a single year in decades, with 20 deaths in the last 9 months compared to 24 deaths in the past prior 4 years. Now, this week, we learned that an individual who went to the Dallas ICE field office for a routine visit, meaning that they were doing things the quote unquote right way, they were detained. They knew that this individual had diabetes and required insulin every 2 hours. Despite ICE having been told this, the individual was denied access to their medication for 8 days, resulting in hospitalization. There are some that say that we are making America great. But to me, it doesn't feel like greatness. It feels like grossness.
That's right.
And in fact, I want to ask a few questions, and it doesn't matter who answers them. Is it great or gross to go into people's houses and drag them out in the middle of the night?
Gross. Gross.
Is it great or gross to make people afraid to do something as simple as go to school?
Gross.
Is it great or gross to make hard-working people say, I am too scared to show up to my job?
Gross.
Oh my goodness, bless her little heart. Okay, Jasmine Crockett always loves to play these stupid little games. Okay, is it great or gross? All right, how about I play this game? Is it great or gross that the Democrats will object to even deporting criminal illegal aliens, and not just random criminals, people who have been convicted of murder in other countries, right? Child offenses, right? Sexual assaults, right? Is that great or gross, Jasmine Crockett? But of course, she'll never ask those questions. Instead, she's going to come out and say that, oh, Donald Trump, obviously his whole administration is racist, even though she has zero evidence to back that up, aside from the fact that he's enforcing border security law. Okay. But of course, to the Democrats, it's one and the same. If you enforce our federal laws, then obviously you are the problem. And she even goes so far as to compare ICE and modern day policing to slave patrols. All right. And I'm sure you've heard this comparison made several times. So let's go ahead and debunk it once and for all. If we come over here to the NAACP's website, slave patrols, the origin of modern day policing can be traced back to slave patrols. The earliest formal slave patrol was created in the Carolinas in the early 1700s with one mission: to establish a system of terror and squash slave uprisings with the capacity to pursue, apprehend, and return runaway slaves to their owners. But here's the problem. We were actually at one point a colony from England, and our modern day policing was actually based off of the sheriff system they used to have over there, which, by the way, started in 600 AD. All right, so 1,000 years before this is even being mentioned by the NAACP. The Old English term designated a royal official, a reeve, responsible for managing a shire or county on behalf of the king, and the term is a contraction of shire reeve. Of course, that became sheriff. The sheriff had a series of duties that included keeping the peace and providing men at arms to support the king in times of strife. Another important duty was the collection of taxes on behalf of the crown. And they also, of course, watched over the jails. Okay, so this, of course, is where we get our modern policing from. And this actually started in the 1600s here in America. Okay, so it wasn't based on slave patrols. It was based on enforcing the king's laws and, of course, putting people in jail and collecting taxes and protecting the cities. But of course, don't tell any of that to Jasmine Crockett, because she's too busy building false equivalencies. But of course, she does mention that, oh, people at the top, right? They will not tolerate, right? Donald Trump is proving he will not tolerate certain things. Yes, he is. He's proving that he will not tolerate Democrat lawlessness. He will not tolerate open borders. He will not tolerate all of these left-wing cities and states harboring criminal illegal aliens, no matter where they happen to be. But of course, Jasmine Crockett, rather than recognize this simple fact, is going to start harping about the clear ID for ICE officials. Okay, now I personally wish they didn't have to cover their faces. As a matter of fact, I support them not doing that. However, I realize it is necessary at this time because the radical left is doxing them. So how about, Jasmine Crockett, you come out and support a secure border? How about, Jasmine Crockett, you come out and say no more doxing and severe penalties for people who do? And how about, Jasmine Crockett, you come out and support voter ID, something that the vast majority of Americans actually agree with, but for some reason, the Democrats still oppose. Now, why in the world could that be? I don't know, because it seems like every single day we're discovering more and more illegal immigrants on our voter rolls and more illegal immigrants on our healthcare rolls. All right. These are things that do happen, but the Democrats say, oh, it's such small numbers, it doesn't affect anything. Then why in the world did the Democrats open up the border and allow 10 million people into this country? It was to win elections. And that, of course, is what the Democrats are really mad about. Their political futures are in danger because they are losing their voter base. And of course, over here in the House, they can have as many shadow hearings as they want to have, but it's not going to change the facts on the ground. American people still support the deportation effort. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me.